It's where people gather around in a room, listen for a sound, hear our favorite tune. Come together with good friends, pretty women, cold beer, know right where to get it. I heard they got it here. Well, this is my kind of church, my kind of town, my kind of people. Y'all are easy to hang around. There ain't nothing I love better. I love it so much it hurts. These are my kind of people. This is my kind of church.
Time to rock and roll. Hell yeah. Live from Fort Worth, guys, the Greg Holle Show. We are big time fired up today. I think the only thing I'm missing is a brand or tattoo on the side of my neck. And other than that, I can't have any more Birdman bat stuff on, if that's any inclination of who we got coming on the show today. Good buddy Gary Malec, the CEO, the owner, El Patron de Birdman Bats, is the guy. The man of the hour will be coming on here shortly. Can't do any of it. Can't bring on such royalty like Gary without the help of our sponsors here, okay? Hiley Buick GMC, located, guess where? Cowtown, Funky Town, Fort Worth, Texas. That's what we got going on. Huge sponsors of the Fort Worth Texans Baseball Club and the Greg Holle Show. $10,000 off. That's $10K, 10 bones, lots of zeros behind that, off of all remaining 2020 Sierra pickup trucks. Number one volume GMC dealer in all of North Texas. Go see why. See what they got going. They've taken care of the Texans. Let them take care of you. Brian, Eric, the rest of the crew, they're sitting there. They're sitting there antsy. They're sitting there waiting for y'all after the Greg Holle Show to get on over, take it for a test drive, and see what they're all about. Located centrally in Fort Worth, right off of 20 and 820. If your eyes are open while you're driving, God bless you. If you don't see it, you'd run into it. Okay, right there. Take a left. Go under the ramp there. Walk in, check them out. Let them roll out the red carpet for you. It's basically, with the exception of going out and being able to go back to everyday life, it's like going into heaven when you walk through the front doors over there. Check them out. Let them take care of you. And right after that, after you get your 2020 Sierra, whatever it is you end up wanting to cruise out of there with, head on over to Fort Worth Cosmetic and Family Dentistry in Fort Worth as well, right off of Camp Bowie. Dr. Nikki Green. Cosmetics are their specialty. Veneers, Invisalign, whitening, implants. We'll talk to Gary when he comes on here. We'll check out his smiles, see if we need to send him over there as well. Huge support of the Fort Worth Texans Baseball Club. The Greg Holle Show, it seemed like it was just might as well piggyback off of it, and here we are. Okay, huge supporter. Her generosity has allowed a number of kids the opportunity to play that otherwise wouldn't have had the opportunity. It's from day one that we met her. It's that way. It's genuine. It is absolutely incredible to see just how fortunate she is running a practice that she runs, the people that she's surrounded with, her employees. The stuff is contagious. You go in there, the quality of her work is impeccable. Just everything in there is just contagious when you, from a hard work standpoint, from a quality standpoint. Give her a call, 817-653-8859 for a free consultation. There's a reason while they're always in the top practices in all of the country, the whole lot of continuing education. It's incredible, their level of devotion to serving their clients and patients. Guys, big time fired up here. Okay. I don't want to waste a ton of time. This hat's driving me nuts currently. Ooh, man, the hair slicked back. Gary, I'll throw the hat back on in a minute here, but I had all that static I had to fix. Big time fired up. For today's guest, we have Gary Malec coming on here. I already gave it to you a minute ago. The founder, the CEO of Birdman Bats. The Texans as an organization have used them exclusively since we began, and there's a reason. Okay, we'll talk about it a little bit before we really get started into it. But it was kind of cool. 2015, 2016, when this all came to an end. I know Birdman got rolling here I'm all backed up on my shirt here. 2011, stuff really gained steam. about the same time as we did as an organization after I got done playing. Was all about it. Sent out some stuff to try, and it's just that. There's the household names. I'm not going to mention them because I don't care to promote anyone else besides my man. But all the names, the so-called big names in the wood and bat business, guys, you look at it, it's all, that's the marketing side. That's the guys that are using it currently. But the more you're watching it, the more you're seeing it, everything that's out there, you're seeing my man Birdman Stew on more and more labels of bats. The quality is insane. You're going to hear the story from start to finish. We're going to do a whole bunch of checking in on. If you go walking into a store looking for a bat, this quality stuff that you may have no clue, the behind the scenes of it, the stuff that goes on in Birdman itself, right in the heart of, I'd say God's country, but that's Fort Worth. I don't know the name for California, but we'll hang with him. I love the guy to death. We'll bring him on anyway. And even though he's out there, we'll have to bring him on. We'll hear his side. But nonetheless, we'll hit the ground running here. We have about 50 minutes. We'll do this up, hear it. I'm going to sit back, fire away some questions. Feel free to comment, hit them up. We got them right in front of us. Gary Malec, let's do it. There he is.
What's up, everybody?
There we go, man. Nice. Is you I just want to make sure the big thing after this show ends is you got to make sure you give that plant some water so the thing keeps growing for you.
Oh, it's water, trust me.
Hell yeah, nothing better. All right, hey, right to it. Okay, I am going to continue to, everyone watching here, and maybe you will have to adjust your camera here as I continue blowing your head up about your company, your product. It's top notch. It's legit. I don't do that much. The fact of the matter is, I like to promote those who I believe in. You are case in point, just that guy. Your company's top notch. Go here. Let's hit the ground here. And how did it come to be? I don't need the Cliff Notes. I don't need you to talk for 6 hours on it. How did Birdman come to be? Where it started? Obviously you had to tiptoe around some nervousness. It's a leap of faith here, getting involved in this business. And now we're sitting here seeing you on all sorts of TV shows and on the bats and in the hands of Major League Baseball players.
It's been an incredible journey, and it's one of the silly, but it's one of those maybe meant to be things. We started in 2011, but that was just me carving them out for fun for like my brother and myself. And I had been making them with friends like Lars. I think Lars Anderson, one of our co-founders, and he would take them to spring training every year and always note back to me like, oh, so-and-so thinks that, the bats are pretty cool, or so-and-so. And it was always like someone you've heard of, or maybe we should do something with this. And then he and I and a couple other friends all got together and decided like, hey, let's put together a Kickstarter. And if enough people buy in, then we could actually get this started. And we did it. That was 2016 in the summer. And we hit our goal on the Kickstarter, and it's been going ever since. And it was quite a leap of faith. I was really terrified. Still am.
When you go through and do something like that, though, okay, it's and you mess around with just the idea, right? You're making. How does someone go? All right, right there. I've been around this stuff my entire life. Surrounded in sports. My father played in the major league. Been around this stuff my whole life. That's not something. Hey, I'm just going to start making bats. How does that come about? Where do you go? You go, just ordering random billets or chopping down trees, or what exactly you got going?
I have a very DIY background. I've always been like engineer minded, building, crafting, and I wanted to make bats. I started playing wood bat when I was 18, I think, back in the day. And one of the kids on my team, his dad would turn them and show up and be like, hey, you guys want to try these? And they were just as nice as the other ones. They were ash. And I just thought it was cool. And I was like, I want to try that. And he's like, I still think about that. He was like the one that was like doing it that I saw do it. And I was like, I want to try that. And now that fast forward 15 years of me not being able to like find many bats that I really liked and didn't want to pay, like a lot of money just being an amateur. So I started making my own and sourcing billets off the internet and finding hunks of wood that fit the bill.
And even with that, you talk about finding pieces of wood, not wanting to spend a lot of money. That's something I want to touch on here in just a bit. But with what you found, was there even a level or a sense during the trial and error period for you where this thing's a piece of crap? this one's nicer, and just that you were able to either feel when making them, or was it through use, or is it, how early in the process do you know if something's going to be legit or not?
The first bat, I remember the first bat I made, I took an at bat with it. I probably took off the hands a little bit, but it broke in half and the barrel was out by the shortstop on the first swing. That really happened. And then they got a little better after that. The second one actually lasted quite some time. But like in buying other people's bats, me being an amateur consumer that's only has access to Sports Authority, Dick's, and like the retail stores, sometimes there's some big tickets. Like there's bats that are as cheap as like $49.99, and they're just like, it's like hitting with a newspaper. And then the expensive ones, you just don't. It's hard just to, if you don't know how to differentiate. I got a call coming in. I got to mute my stuff.
Man, oh man! For a guy who's been all over, look at this. Who's been?
I don't even know how to. Hey, I'll quick. So in order to differentiate, I'd say it's marketing to the layman, and you're not really going to find anything nice out there on retail shelves. It's just it's a really hard model for us. There's not a lot of margins in the wood bat game, and like just to stay alive as long as we had it as a manufacturing business in San Francisco is like a huge accomplishment for me. And we've actually grown through the pandemic and whatnot, so it's pretty cool. But back to the question. The first time I ever really had a bat that was like, wow, this is different is Lars. Again, Lars, every time I make him a bat, he'd be like, oh, I want to give you one. And he'd pull one out of his bag that was like, said Lars Anderson on it. And, it was for a pro. And it just felt different. So we, being like small boutique, kind of like a craft brewery, we're a craft bat company, like we use the fine ingredients. We provide the major league quality wood to everybody because we don't have thousands of bats running out onto retail shelves and just spewing them all over the world just to get our names out there. So it's a little bit different. So yeah, so mostly everybody can come to us and get a bat that has that special kind of wood, and you really feel it, and our customers appreciate it always.
Companies that run that run that model, right? It's everywhere. It's let's see here. You go to a, high end, let's say, I want to use a good example here, is going from somewhere from say a Cadillac at whatever, $100,000 on down. They try to dilute, try to open themselves up to a broader market. For y'all coming up with your branding, coming up with everything you're doing, is that something where it's one of those never say never, right? If you guys are in business, and guess what? Money's about as important to business as oxygen, or second as important to business as oxygen is for y'all to survive.
And especially out here being in manufacturing, it's very difficult. It's really expensive. There's a lot of hurdles. We've had a lot of help. Honestly, without all the help, I don't think we would be where we are. It's been a very large community effort from so many people that have helped us just simply for the love of baseball. And that really is awesome. Baseball is a really cool thing that brings people together of all shapes, sizes, colors, ages, backgrounds.
It seems too, man, that you had a pretty unique run, or stuff got going. And I was going to talk about this later, but even just, I forgot the year exactly. I remember following along with it and texting you and talking to you and everything else, but something as, minor in regards to just how randomly, or I guess minor would be the word, simple would be the word of how it all came together for you. Talk about how it came to be, where I look around and see you and Manny Ramirez rubbing elbows, and you're over in all sorts of foreign countries. And next thing you know, there's Birdman in his hands, and you got a Hall of Famer, swinging his stuff, and you guys making all sorts of videos and stuff together.
That was kind of like a two-step thing, because Lars was with the Cubs and so was Manny. And it was a few years. It was 2017 when I got to go to Japan and work with Manny. But I think it was 2015 or 16 when I get a call from Manny Ramirez. Just Lars gave him my number. He just calls me. He's like, hey, I like the Birdman bat. I want some. And I was like, whoa, okay. That was like a big stepping point for me, because Lars always loved them. And getting someone like that to just simply call me and want some, I was like, wow, that's like pretty cool. Maybe we could do something more with this. And I sent him some bats, and that was basically that, because then he stopped playing. And turns out Lars decides to sign and go play in Japan. And who else but Manny's on his team again. So when I go there, I saw him, and we just kind of like, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? And I'll admit, I was a little starstruck when I first met him. He's got this aura. He's got a lot of energy, and he's really kind. And for some reason, he likes asking anyone, maybe even the janitor, what they think of his swing. He's always talking hitting. He's always talking baseball. And he'll listen to what anyone has to say if he thinks it'll make him better. And my advice really resonated with him the first day I met him. It was really the first day. And then I started working with him, like just me and him every day, all day, 6 a.m. on, like never stop. And after a few days, he finally got into a game and he hits a home run, gets like 3 hits. He comes charging me to give me chest bumps. And I remember telling Lars, I felt like he came down the tunnel doing this little shimmy and gave me a chest bump. And I said, I felt like David Ortiz back in the day when them two were always just banging it. It's pretty funny. And so he came with like a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue Label the next day and was all thankful for my help. And he's like, you want to stick around and help me? So I stayed for like 8 weeks in Japan that summer. And we even went to Taiwan twice, maybe. I can't remember. And it was just me and Manny's travels in a foreign land. It was pretty cool. And he was really open to me sharing our experience on social media. And I think that was super helpful in like validating what we were doing around the world. But we weren't in the major leagues yet then. So that was a nice stepping point.
Well, I'll tell you, from an outsider looking in, I can absolutely say this. When I was sitting here watching you riding all around, all sorts of countries over in Asia and heading over that way, again, for me, looking at it, I absolutely, for lack of better words, had I don't know what in the hell is going on here. Next thing you know, I'm talking to you one day. Now all of a sudden you're 2 months in with Manny Ramirez giving a Hall of Famer hitting advice and everything else that's going on here. And now all of a sudden, I go and, hey, I'm back in town. It was like this 8 week, I'm assuming it falls somewhere in lines of like a dream ending up reality or something that came on so fast you didn't even have time to prepare for it.
No time. It was just like, I just kind of walked into it and it worked. And I just, the fun thing was that I worked out with him throughout that whole time. And like the knowledge I gained, and like I got in great shape. I like, all of a sudden I could swing like Manny, and he taught me what I was teaching him. We were teaching each other. We worked out together. We hit together every day. It was cool. I hit with him every day. It wasn't just me talking to him. Like we were working, like competing with one another, having a lot of fun. And he loved my swing. It's so funny. He'd always tell me how much he loved my swing. Shame I was old.
Yeah. Yeah, no, man, that is absolutely, that's cool stuff. But going back on the Birdman side and everything else on the wood bat side, the professional baseball, you name it. What, if you were to try to put a bow around it, what makes y'all different? Why Birdman?
I think there's a culmination of things, mainly baseball being so stressful. I see nothing but seriousness in all the branding. First one always comes to mind is war stick, and with the word war implementing, and like it's always like we're going to battle out there, and like there's a lot of talk like that, but it's a game, and everybody's so darn mental. And when you get up into the higher ranks, you've been there. It's like mostly everybody's similar talent. Some guys stand out talent wise, and some guys don't quite have that same talent, but they persevere through other ways. And your mind is your biggest enemy sometimes, and we kind of just like. We want to maintain that lighthearted feel where like you pick up the bat and you feel something. Like we want it to talk to you, like for real. And that seems to resonate with a lot of people. And for it to talk to you, obviously it's not just because of some, lightheartedness, but there's a whole level of craftsmanship that comes along with it, where our bats look like a highly polished piece of furniture that are made from like hand split materials, the wood, and then like all the way through handcrafted to perfection. And it comes with your name on it. And everyone always comments on how they smell, which is funny because like the fresh urethane on them, like it smells like brings something to everyone's mind. Like, oh man, every time I go in my garage, it has that smell from the brand new bats, and like, I guess if they're on a retail shelf, you're not going to ever get that. And you get to actually like contact the guy who runs the show or the guy who's making the bats and work with them directly to get exactly what you want. And I think there's a lot of value in that.
No, and I think I take the cake as far as being the number one in regards to blowing your phone up, being annoying, but also I'll take credit for sending a bunch of stuff, believing in what you do, man. And the stuff is, I know when we spoke before, the big thing for me as a, consumer, or let's use that first and foremost, obviously, over time, friendship gained is the element you're not buying you're not buying this mass produced crap. Everything you do when you're going through, and I'll say this, when you sent me the couple of bats up front there and the youth and the adult, I got them all different colors and everything else. I remember going, because I have it on our social media stuff and I also have it on my phone still. You sent pictures along the way. Like this is where it starts. It's cool. It's cool as can be. You feel like you're like one of those little
thing is, when I first met you, we were making them out of my house in my garage in San Francisco. That's where they were coming from. We've come such a long way since then. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
we were always crazy for the quality and making them nice. And I think one of the things is like working with Lars. Like Lars is he's like a brother. He's like my other brother. Having that feedback from someone who played 11 years in affiliated baseball, and also having a freaking huge network of other people who will look at it and give you feedback and say, here's what I like about bats. Here's what I don't like about bats. Here's what I like about the vendors. Here's what I don't like about the vendors. And you get that information on every company. And then also having all them guys like say, hey, when you break your bats, give them to me. So like I got a huge like pile of broken bats from every company. I got to study their finish. I got to study their logos. I got to study every aspect of what every company was doing to their bat. Not only that, I got the profile of everyone. So I'd caliper them up and draw them up into my CNC program. And now I have not only a 318 I got it from every company. And then it's like, I look at it and I take the pieces I like from everyone and we make our own, and at this point we have all our own unique models that are probably going to be similar to others, but like they're just so dialed in. It's cool how the progress, like how it's all been dialed and everything. You
sound like someone who's taking like down to enemy aircraft or artillery and bringing it into a lab and starting to dissect these. I'm sure it has its similarities.
It is. Yeah. It's a strange business, but I enjoy it. There's not a lot of us right now, probably 5, I guess, in the company. So like we all wear a lot of hats, and for someone like me that likes to do a lot of things and a DIY guy, like I'm very creative, but I'm also very analytical and like math and science oriented. So I handle a lot of things.
Yeah, very different than the guy that you're sitting here talking to right now. I can tell you that. But hey, go ahead.
You're good at harassing people and stuff like that.
It's got to count in some way, shape, or form now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, the process, okay. It's not just, hey, I'm going to start a bat company, right? And I'm going to go out and grab some random wood. Now all of a sudden in the Major League Baseball is going to go and give us a certification to become a vet. Give us the rundown behind that and the amount of recommendations, the hoop that you have to jump through in order to get you in a spot where you are now, where you're even a thought for Major League Baseball.
Funny because like from day one, everyone that's a part of the company wants to be involved in Major League Baseball. Every rep I ever come across, everyone that wants to work with us, everyone just wants to get their hands on Major League Baseball. But like that's not going to keep the company alive because, well, you've been around the pros. The pros want stuff free. So if they're a high prospect, their agent's going to pay. If they're on a 40-man roster, the team pays. And then if they're low prospects, they pay or want stuff free. And so there's a lot of ways to try to get the bats out there in the major leagues, but you have to figure out how to sell them first, other ways. And then there's like a nice fair balance because you have the pros using them, validating your brand to sell them to the other people. And then the other people, they want quality. They want to know what pros are using them. There's always the back and forth. And in 2017, we didn't really have the money. We did the Kickstarter and we got our machinery and we got in a warehouse and we were going. But it would have been a huge financial undertaking to get into the pros. And also, like Lars and I decided, like, how much better are we going to be in a year at making our bats than we are right now? Because it was new to us still, and I'll admit our bats were nowhere near as nice then as they are now. Like I think I just said that a minute ago. So 2017, we balked at it and decided not to do it. And that's when I went to Japan and all that other great stuff happened. And it seemed like the right thing to do. We moved into the league 2018. And we had 2016 really geared up to move into league 2017 and we didn't. So there was like a year of us not around the prospects we had been around. And we essentially just lost contact with all of them and had to start over. And we just lucked out making some connections and getting some guys using them. And that really, like we said, with Puig, 5 home runs in 24 hours. We landed ourselves in Cooperstown being a part of an all-time record and a home run record. It was so unbelievable. Stuff like that is just, to be a part of something like that is just awesome. I never got to be a professional, and I always wanted to be as a kid. So this is the next best thing in my mind.
So now again, talk about just what you said prior to us coming on the show here, recommendations and the people that have to vouch for you. Again, it's not just, hey, I want to throw some money at.
You have to find someone in the affiliate system on the teams from a big league club that will write a letter of recommendation for you. And at the time, we had Gabe Kapler was the minor league farm director for the Dodgers. That's what he was doing when he wrote it for us. It was before his days at the Phillies and then Giants. But and even with getting the letter of recommendation, like, so you have to know a farm director or a manager, like someone like that. And after doing that, then you still have to fill a quota, which is like 15 dozen bats a year, which really, it doesn't sound like a lot, but in your first year, it's kind of a lot.
No, there's absolutely that route. And then too, so now you've made it. We'll use that, right? We'll use a little bunny ears, your favorite thing there for quotes. You've made it, so to speak. You're able to get in, you're there. Do you remember vividly sitting home, just like, players do? Do you remember the first at bat when you're sitting there watching, or that you were able to see live with your
first
bat?
one I saw was in spring training the first year, and it was Terrence Gore on the Kansas City Royals. That was the first time I ever saw it. And then regular season, it was Puig. And the Puig story was cool because the clubby called me and ordered bats for him. And we had made him his famous YP66. That was an old Hickory model. I think it was a big seller on the retail front for a while. We got our hands on one and copied it, and kind of we're like, hey, try our bats. And he used it. And that was really cool. But then all of a sudden, the clubhouse manager calls and says, we had made some for Rich Hill that had that different knob on them. Rich Hill was loving them. And Puig starts using Rich Hill's bat all the time. And then the clubby calls and says, hey, whatever you made for Rich, just send a dozen here for Yasiel. We had dropped them off at the stadium because they were playing the Giants. And then the guy who made them he was sitting pretty close, and you got to see him walk out and use it for the first time, right in front of him. It was really, really an awesome experience.
Was there an element of puckered up as you sit there hoping that something awful doesn't happen on national TV with this?
We haven't had that, thankfully. I don't know. I don't like to think about stuff like that. People ask that question, but bats break, and you just hope something like that doesn't happen. But we've been good so far with that. It's been a lot more home runs, hits. We've been in the World Series a couple times. The other day I saw we had a home run, Nationals camp, Giants camp, Dodgers camp, Indians camp and Reds camp. There were 5 camps. I saw a home run get hit, and that's exciting because in the past years, maybe it was one camp where you got someone to use them. Let alone home runs getting hit.
Because when you get that going now, all right, is that something where are you getting around to the point of trying to see if you can get guys with some exclusivity of, hey, we're willing to do something, or is the contract slope so slippery for y'all now with getting involved with guys, professionally, where they're just using them and not bouncing around? Because if there's any sport or anything on the planet that's more superstitious than baseball, I'm not aware of it.
Yeah, right. So there's a lot there. The thing is the non-exclusive 90% use contract. That's what I've seen from other companies. We do it. We look for it with prospects, some guys that are high ranking, about to pop up. But guys that are on big league teams don't really have much of a reason to do it because they don't get paid much. I hear numbers thrown around. I don't even really know, but big leaguers, they just kind of like what they like. And some of them will stick with you for years, and you just do well by the experience.
And I guess what comes from that on y'all's end is the marketing and visibility side, correct?
Yeah.
And then going back to that, we were sitting there kidding around about you being nervous watching all this stuff, and absolutely stuff happens. Going to a thing that I really want to touch on here. Good wood isn't cheap. We've had this conversation as I'm sitting here trying to beat you down, shake you down like I do every time I talk to you. The fact of the matter is you're getting what you're paid for, and there's reason why you're sitting there. It's noticeable. The quality of it is absolutely insane. Everything that you put out is incredible. But when did y'all make that jump up another tier into where y'all are now from a quality standpoint?
Full disclosure, it was like 3 years ago when we went to the pros, but like the first year, like I was saying, it was like get our hands on anything we could get. So the first year was a little iffy, but you were still impressed. It's not like we were sending out junk, but
No.
we still like that extra was like 2018, 2019. And it was like a slow conversion. And now it's just like all the split wood. Yesterday, it's funny. Cody was like, look at this. And he was holding a piece of birch in my face. He's like, just look how nice this is. Like the blank piece. It's funny. We were laughing because we just got all this real nice wood in. It's like every single piece is just perfectly straight. And it's a whole nother ballgame when you get a piece of wood like that, because it lasts longer. It hits the ball harder and farther. Like all the science and stuff all adds up. So it's really worth to spend a couple extra bucks on a wood bat, because you can get those machine run ones where the piece of wood originally cost probably like $4 or $5 on them. That go out at like the $50 margin on the retail, and they're just junk. Yeah, you might get some that doesn't break right away, but they're going to be breakable. They're just not going to have it.
Yeah, but if it doesn't break right away, think about what we're saying, and it's not even a matter of breaking right. You want quality. You don't want to. I know you use the analogy, or you use it. You go in and swinging a wet newspaper. The thing just feels like complete crap. I've mentioned
one thing with birch. Like birch is a newer wood. A lot of people still don't even know about it. And cheap birch is soft. Some guys have had birch and they're like, "No, I won't use birch," because they had one that was bad. But a good piece of birch is like, in my opinion, the best. There's no wood better. Lars played whole professional seasons in Japan, Germany, and Australia, and like didn't break a bat. They're not 162 game seasons, but it's a lot of games, and it's the velo. Like there's guys throwing hard over there, and he's not breaking bats, and he's certainly not squaring up the barrel every time. Like, let's be honest, the birch is special. Maple likes to break; it just does. It's harder from the gate. Like when you get it out of the box, it might be a little bit harder, but the birch, as you hit it, will compress and ultimately be just as hard. And I mean that the little bit of harder is such a tiny little difference in the beginning. And where it ends up by the time you've hit them a few times in the cages, like I just think the birch is the way.
Where's the ooh and ah come from? Just the familiarity that people have heard the word maple and have been, and now they call it, rock.
Yeah, people always just suspect that maple's best because like that's probably the most mainstream. But birch has come around. Like every year we have a meeting with Major League Baseball and they show graphs of usage, like maple, birch, ash. And ash is like down to nothing. And now birch, I think it was last year or the year before, birch stepped above ash for the first time. And it's slowly climbing. The numbers in the big leagues are a lot lower than the numbers in the minor leagues. Like we'll sell, say, like 15 dozen bats to the Rangers, and they only order birch because they don't break.
What happened with ash? You brought that up. I was going to touch on it. That was the bat. That was Mark McGwire breaking. That was it. That was the
900 years of that, right?
The official bat of the steroid era.
Technology, like basically people started trying other woods, and it all comes down to the weight, right? Like you need something that you can yield that's hard and durable. And maple is like on the line, but they vacuum the moisture out of it down to so low, and that's why it becomes brittle, but it gets light enough. And it's so hard, people like it. Ash is a ring porous hardwood. It's a different kind of wood, like scientifically all through and through. And as you hit with it, it separates. The grains separate. So like even if you don't break it, your barrel will be
that's when the bat starts fraying.
Yeah. And that'll never happen with maple and birch. Your maple and birch bats will last forever until you take one off the hands or the end and break it. But ash will your favorite ash bat will just stop working simply because the grains have separated. So they don't last that long. And then over in the Adirondacks, I guess there's this ash boring beetle that has like been destroying the ash forests. It's like a real thing. It's like a problem.
Dude, I feel like I'm in like like some sort of, I don't even know the type class I'd be in. What do you say the one was for maple? You got to hit me with it. I got to write it down. Ring porous what?
Maple and birch are diffuse porous hardwoods. Ash is a ring porous hardwood. They're different kinds of woods.
Hell yes. Guys, anyone listening here, you do not get this type of tutorial on what goes into the ring porous and porous hardwoods like you would.
I actually just got to speak at the University of Florida's Materials and Engineering Science program. I was a guest speaker and did all kinds of science talk. I love talking about science and math and nerd stuff.
Man, oh man. So, all right. So getting to that. And I got it written here, actually, in my, the prep here for the show. It says it in quotes without getting nerdy on me. Explain. All right. Tell me this. This is huge. You use when you were talking with this, split wood and everything else that's there. What does that, what is that? What does that mean? You got to bring it back down to earth here because it's valuable as hell. And this is a huge piece of what makes y'all different and what makes y'all's bat quality just through the roof.
A really easy way to say it is picture straight grains at the beginning and the end of the bat. If you hit it off your hands, it sends vibrations that sting you. And if the grains are perfectly straight, the vibrations will run nicely from top to bottom and eventually just settle down. But if the grains aren't straight and they veer out, the vibrations can't run back and forth through the straight grains. They run out and they snap right where it runs out. And that's the difference. That, to make it super simple for anyone to understand, when the grains aren't split and they're sawn, they like to run out. And that's where you'll see the breaks, like wherever the grain runs out of the wood, they'll snap there. And when they're straight, that simply doesn't happen. And that's why you see them break in half a lot, because if it's low on the handle where it runs out, then boom, it just breaks in half.
Dude, it's incredible. I've been around this crap my entire life, and I'm sitting here and like me interviewing you, talking about this stuff. It's you always thought of crack. Well, hell, I went and
so that's on the durability side. Now there's one more thing. If you want some more, I'll try to keep it.
I want it.
Bring it. For exit velocity, they proved recently that maple and birch are kind of negligible in difference, but only if they're straight. Like I was just saying, if the grains are straight, you can get up to 30% more thump from your bat if your grains are off. Because again, the vibrations, the flexibility, the way it works, if they're straight, the bat has one hole. But if the grains are running out, it kind of loses the power that would be through it. It just kind of hits there and it doesn't have as much of a shot behind it, if that makes any sense. And you can get up to 30% more oomph if you have a good straight piece of wood.
Birdman is the official bat of oomph. If you're wondering, as we sit here, tell me this too, because I remember having this. Hell yeah! So when you get going, when we had these conversations, I remember hollering at you. As it sits here, let me get my notebook. I don't want to mess up my notes. Right. As I sit here, we'll use the lines on the paper as grain as it would be.
Yeah, you can write. I couldn't believe you could write English. Look at that.
See, and as I get going here, right, the grain running along as it is the lines on my page. If we're using ash as it used to sit, the label would go up top. You'd want to hit with the grains running across. That goes out the door, correct? When I started looking at it with maple and ash, and it blew my mind. And I'm sitting here, was Gary sitting there? Was he having himself a nice glass of house cab or two? And he's sending me these bats that are going to end up snapping on me because the label's in the wrong spot. Explain why maple is different. That goes to birch as well, don't it?
Goes back to the ring and diffuse porous hardwoods. So actually, ash will probably perform a little better if you hit on the face grains, because you hear the term trampoline effect. Have you heard that with ash?
Of course. Let's go.
So yeah, ash bends. Ash is whippy. So if you hit it with straight grains, we're always talking about straight grains. The less straight grains, the less of this happens. If you have straight grains and you hit on the face, that thing's going to want to bend and you're going to get that trampoline. But with repeated hitting on the face grains, they delaminate faster. So simply because the delamination occurring in the rings, they want you to hit on the edge grains just so they last a little longer. That's why.
Dude, I'm mind blown right now.
So when you go into maple and birch, maple has absolutely no flexibility, pretty much none. And a lot of people, they like that stiffness. It's like in drivers with golf. Some people want a little flex. Some people want it super stiff. So in the maple is just stiff. But if you get yourself a perfectly straight piece and you hit with the face grains, you'll get a little bit more than if you hit it with the edge grains. And same with birch.
All right, all right, let's keep this rolling here. I'm getting every possible question, touching on every possible point that I can with you here. So we get little Hezekiah, right? Dad, I want to go get a bat. They go walking into the store. How do they go about picking out a bat off the shelf when it comes from type of wood that fits them? Is it trial and error? Selecting the model, right? There's a million different things. I get it frequently as we're selling metal bats, right? Louisville DeMarini, Oh, I want this balanced. I want this one that's that's end loaded, right? When what's that?
So many options now.
Absolutely. And then on top, I know we just touched on the, we touched on the grain between, different thoughts there. And if you find them with, that's extreme, right? You're never finding that anywhere unless you're out in the woods, maybe. But finding the separation as best that we can, especially as I keep going with Ash, that's that's what I grew up with. You go walking into a store, they don't have the luxury of being able to try a bunch of these out because you can't go in, you can't try out wood bats. Other than when I get these demos coming in from you here, you will be able to elaborate. How do you go about picking these out? How do you pick out the bat?
You want to be able to see the handle. I mean, the handle and the wood, the handle's the most important. Major League Baseball makes us ink dot between 10 and 14 inches on the handle from the bottom of it, and it shows a straight grain to prove that it's good. Like, if you can't do that, it's not good. Like, grains will visually look straight, but until you put that ink on them, like, they're hiding. Like, sometimes the grains look straight, you put ink on it, and they're like sideways. It's like, whoa. And those will break fast, even though they appear straight. So you want an ink dotted piece of wood. Most people don't even sell ink dotted pieces of wood, but we get yelled at a lot. I'll get an email like, what is this awful blemish on my handle? I paid $200 for a bat, and there's a 1-inch round circle of finish missing on it. And I'll often explain it's like, it's a quality control check. And you probably haven't seen it because most other companies don't really offer that to just anybody.
Is that why most the stock trash that floats around these stores is usually painted like tar black, and you can't?
Yeah. Usually, all the cheapest bats are going to be black because they hide any imperfections. And it depends.
Is it a quality? I know you say it's a quality control thing as it goes up, but is that also? Are they trying to double dip? Does it become a 2-in-1, a quality thing, but also a safety thing too?
I wonder. It definitely is like they're just passing cheap stuff with the hiding it. Major League Baseball doesn't let us paint bats for that reason. Like, they want to be able to see through the dyes. They make us use stains and dyes. So if you see painted bats that are all black that don't have an ink dot, it's kind of a coin flip.
But even all right, so tell me this though, the barrels, you see some of the stuff, is it only dyes across the board?
In Major League Baseball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that just for the barrel or for the handle?
All of it. It's just stains and dyes. They're very particular about how they want it to be done.
No kidding. Because that time I sent you the stuff that I had made there that I stole, I saw some of Andrew McCutcheon's bats. I could have swore. Nonetheless,
trust me, people get away with doing things that the league doesn't want, but they don't want us using black paint. They want us even to use black ink or dye.
Benefits of wood. Here we go. I'm as old school as it gets as it pertains to, we take our guys from 11U on up, and it ended up the Birdman Texans, we'll call them here, last summer, going across, playing all over Texas, playing in different spots of the country. What I ended up finding, we get wood bats in the hands of our younger guys. We made it mandatory in the past. Some of them super, super, super young. I don't want to go fly that far off the rails yet, but the benefit for these guys getting their work in, not getting false feedback, not having this perfectly lab created, perfectly balanced, but you're dealing with something solid. We talked about it plenty. You can't hollow these bats out too much. You're dealing with something solid. You end up compromising the wood and it turns into a turd. But the feedback, everything that you get from swinging a wood bat, in your mind, what are the top 3 benefits that a player gets, with the exception, and probably in my mind right toward the top, obviously I'm being sarcastic, getting rid of that annoying as hell metal bat noise?
That wasn't on my list, but now you said it, that might be number 1.
Yeah.
But that instantly dawned on me when you were saying that people might not think about is respect from coaches that might be looking at you. I think that at any age, well, when you're really young, I don't know, it's just nice to work with a wood bat just for training. It's finding the barrel, you get better at really dialing in a proper swing and finding the barrel. I mean, in baseball, there's like the grand equalizer is going to the 90-foot bases, right? And then the second one is learning how to use a wood bat. Those are like 2 stages in your baseball life where it's like things change big time. And I think anyone that's even half serious about being decent at baseball should have a wood bat in their bag and be using it, especially for warm-ups, training, maybe even a heavy one. filter it into your regimen, and it'll make you better. And then when you get that, for me, once I started using a wood bat, I never could go back to metal. You know, like after college, you start playing in the men's leagues, they're only wood bat. And you'll have home run derbies with your buddies, and then I just pop everything up. You think changes the way you swing. It's weird.
Without a shadow of a doubt. And the funny part, man, and I know darn well I got kids in the organization that are acting as if they're doing the remote learning right now that are watching this interview. We got rolling early on, right? We had a wood bat tournament right out the gate, had them swinging the entire time leading up to it. Next thing you know, I want to say scheduled three of the 7 events last summer were lined up to be, wood bat set tournaments. You could only use them. I had guys across the board that just said the hell with it. We switched over. We were going out. It wasn't a matter of, oh, hey, feeling like we're good or trying to draw attention to yourself. These guys get so locked in by the feeling of it, and you don't give anything up besides what you're talking about. If you get sawed off, or if you try to,
that's the thing is, like some people have this feeling, this overwhelming feeling, even when they do get like the wood bat down and they love using it, they feel like they're limiting themselves by like not using that metal bat that they have. It's like but I still can use the metal because they just think it's better. And when we were younger, Greg, maybe they were, but these new BB core bats, yeah, sure, you're going to have more barrel ultimately, so you might be able to fist off or find a few more hits ultimately. But if you're dialed in, that wood bat's going to do just fine.
And I think you bring up an interesting point there, and you're fighting off some. So okay, so maybe it'll bail you out on occasion when the bat should have exploded. You can fist one of the outfield if you got some strength. Outside of that, you tell me. You mentioned some studies a minute ago. Has there been anything that's come back? And I guess when you're dealing with Major League Baseball, you're hearing stuff come back and forth with that. You square balls up. I don't care who you are. If you have any sort of juice or just swinging a bat in general, you barrel a ball up with wood, you barrel up a ball up with metal. The ball flies because, believe me, I've been on the receiving end throwing them. You're not giving up. There's not this huge, if I swing a metal bat, the ball's going to go 50 foot further.
Some guys can't get that out of your head, though,
And it totally is. But I think the overwhelming value you get, and as guys start climbing the ladder, what do they want to see? And we're seeing it right now. We got our graduating class coming up. We got some guys starting to commit to schools. Everything you're going, I almost find it funny. Oh, it's a wood bat tournament. Why? Because they want to see what type of hitter they are. Well, that's a huge piece. But also, you got guys that are committing to colleges. College coaches who are watching guys hit want to see you hit with wood.
Yeah.
When the school that they're at is a metal bat school. There's reason behind it.
I agree.
And and for me, man, as we get going, and wind this stuff down, I feel like it's incredibly important. It's not a matter of, hey, let's go grab just any random bat, because they put it this way. Why don't they do that with metal? Oh, because that bat's a piece of crap. So now all of a sudden we're going to broad stroke and every wood bat's the same.
Cool thing to think about. BB core sets a limit, right? A wall, limitation. Says this bat can't perform better than this. But when it comes to wood, it's an organic material. And if you're dialed in, that wood you're going to find it. You're going to hit it. There's no limitation. So like if you're good, there's a wall on the metal bat. There's no wall on the wood bat. So like that's something that a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah, well, and that's it too, because we had plenty of them. There was a bat a ways back. Not to get into story time here, it was one size of one model, as if every one of those doesn't get built the exact. So, again, my big thing on this end is in the huge piece of being able to hunt you down. I know you sent me a picture yesterday when you're in there working with your gas mask on. A huge thing of that is promoting those and getting guys on that do a damn good job at what they do. And it's spreading the good word here, right? It's the old gospel of Birdman, but it's all hand done. You know exactly what you're getting. You can communicate with you. You can communicate with the guys who are making the stuff, and you know exactly where it's coming from. And across the board, top to bottom, the product's been through the roof, man. And I really, I'm not going anywhere. I can't thank you. And I really can't. It's having a relationship develop like this has been huge for not only, building a friendship and the retail side and everything else that's there. It's helped our darn organization by having them in the hands of our players.
It's awesome. Yeah. I always appreciate you, Greg. You've been hounding me since the beginning.
And believe me, dude, it's like I taste blood, and it's only beginning. The calls and the texts are going to be even more relentless. I do not care if you're on the West Coast, the time change, the texts are going to start the same time every morning. They're not.
Well, trust me, they start from the same time in the East Coast, even further over every morning. So you're somewhere filtered in there.
Oh my man, hey. I got to wrap this stuff up, man. But anyone who's listening will have all this stuff posted out into YouTube. Everything that's going on out there has been enormous. And again, I can't tell if I like your bats more or if I like blowing up your phone more. But either way, we'll get a little bit of each going. We got guys commenting, enjoyed his knowledge today, interested new bit, best of luck. It's huge, dude. That's it, man. You have got to. Hey, one question before we go here. All right. Comes from one of the moms of a player in an organization. Hello, I was just on your website looking for a big flare knob bat for my son. Couldn't find one other than the smaller ones. Can you point me in the right direction on how to find one on your website, or can we send you a picture of the knob of the bat he liked? Diane, I'll tell you this. Just get it to me. I'll forward it to him. Tell me if I'm wrong.
We have a vast database of bat models. We just whittled it down to 12 customizable versions on the website right now, but I always tell people feel free to reach out because we probably have it. It's just trying to make an effort to not confuse too many people. And we have all kinds of the big flare knobs, the little flare knobs. Pretty much, we like to accommodate people, and because it's all about comfort and feeling good when you're hitting. So that's what we're here for.
Man, oh man, real-time responses from the El Jefe of Birdman bats, Gary Malec himself, dude. Big time. I'm in a better mood than I was this morning, and that's where it's at now. Again, we'll turn that same energy over. I'm heading over to the facility here. Got to get these racks going, man. We got to get the displays going. Birdman will be flying high inside the pro shop. But can't thank you enough, dude. Really,
thanks for having me.
Dude. It was huge, man. It's a huge show. It's huge having you come on here, and I really appreciate your time. Likewise,
I always like talking nerd science.
Now we're talking. You have a good one, my man. We'll stay in touch, all right?
You too. Later. See you.
Yes, sir. Guys, we're wrapping this stuff up here. That is enormous. Big thanks to our guest, Gary Malec, owner of Birdman Bats. And holler to our sponsors, Kristen Holle Realty, 817-808-9464. Relentless is the word, and that's, I believe, a big piece of why we're married. Has been killing it. The market is sizzling. It is sizzling so much. I may roll out there, have some bacon before I head out to the facility today. Get a free home analysis. Hey, while it's on your mind, you never know. You interested in selling? You have no idea. Let Kristen talk. Get a gauge. See what you could get for your house. I know, hell, I'm about to move into a tent if we sell our house for the right price. You want to buy it? Holler at me off the show here and comment below, and we'll see if you can buy my house. Guys, incredible at negotiating, the buying process, the selling process, investment properties, you name it. We get you covered, okay? Got you covered. Absolutely incredible seeing how this stuff's gone. Mom holding it down, doing her thing, dealing with me. Gary told you how annoying I am. Just imagine living with me. Kristen Holle Realty, 817-808-9464. I just saw her walk in the door. She's got my daughter with her, keeping an eye. Give her a call. She's sitting by her phone waiting for that bad boy to start ringing. Perry Lunsford, the healthy insurance dude. As much as I had Gary, the owner of Birdman, on, Perry Lunsford, the healthy insurance dude, 817-205-6257. The guy is an absolute stud in the health insurance business. You know what we know to be true? You need it. Everyone does. Don't get caught without it. A good buddy Brent and his family were reached out. Hey, they posted something. Hey, looking for a guy who does health insurance. Guess what? The man, Perry, flew in with his cape on. Saved him over $8,000 a year. You don't believe me? Holler at me. I'll send it to you direct. The stuff's no joke. Insurance isn't. It's not this, super exciting thing. It's not like getting a package that gets delivered. Oh my God, what do we got in here? It's health insurance. The problem is most of the times you don't need it. It's the one time it shows its face. You want Perry on your side. Lock in your rate. He'll have you hooked up big time. One of my favorite promos to do here is my man, Robbie Tucker. Sweet Robbie Tucker with Chemtech Pest Control, the roach, bee, and ant specialist. Daryl, I see you commenting below. I'm going to send him down to your house. after the show is over. Professionalism through the roof. Has done my facilities, has done the house for the last however long. I don't know. I haven't seen a bug in the last 7 years. Guess what? Stay on it. Robbie's your man. Professionalism. He comes rolling, rocking and rolling in with his wand. There's nothing to be found. He's your man. Best bang for your buck in all of humanity, in all of the pest control business. I hit him up, right? He comes in, sprays a 30,000-foot facility, comes here and sprinkles his magic dust all around the house to keep all the bugs away. Robbie, you need to charge me more. You need to charge me more, my man. You know what his response was? No, sir. I'm the People's Pest Control Company. The People's Pest Control Company is Robbie Tucker. People talk about Robbie like they do Loch Ness or Bigfoot. Simply magnificent and majestic, but the only problem is I've actually had my eyes on Robbie, as have many others. Give him a call today, 817-489-5500. He does impeccable work. He is Robbie Tucker with Chemtech Pest Control. Big thanks again to Hiley Buick GMC, the number one volume GMC deal in all North Texas. Holler at Nikki Green at Fort Worth Cosmetic and Family Dentistry. Visit ngreendental.com. Kristen Holle Realty. She's sitting by her phone still. She may be making herself a sandwich, but guess what? Her phone's only the old wipe of the paws to answer it away. Perry Lunsford, the healthy insurance dude, saved our good buddy Brent $8K last week. Let him save you. Let's see what we can do here. I don't know about you, but I don't have $8K to burn. Robbie Tucker, sweet Robbie Tucker. I already gave him the official rundown. Give him a call at Chemtech Pest Control, 817-489-5500 today. Whew. All righty. As always, guys, we had an incredible show here. We'll be back next Wednesday and every Wednesday after that. If you want to be a sponsor, guess what? Holler at us. We'll give you the rundown. It'll be send you through the roof. Let me work my magic for you. Get a lot of listeners, a lot of followers. Let me do my thing. God bless our police, military, firefighters, and first responders. And just like the song goes, I'm going to turn it on after Jesse Robb takes us home in a minute. God bless Texas. Keep working hard at everything y'all have. Guess what? It doesn't come free. Military's there, has our back. My name is Greg Holle. You just watched the Greg Holle Show. Good night from Fort Worth, Texas.
He said, is this really where you've been for the last few days? Hell yeah, it is. Is that all you gotta say? Oh,